Yes, people, what is happening? Welcome back to Lily White Lane. It's the most wonderful time of the year. Yes, it is the most wonderful time of the year for all you football fans out there because the Premier League is back. Get in. The Premier League does return this Friday, as I say, with the Gooners taking on Brentford. Come on, Brentford on Friday, as I say, cheering them on. Hope Arsenal get absolutely stuffed like a Christmas turkey this Friday. But look, I digress. Premier League is back this weekend. I cannot wait. I'm absolutely buzzing for it. So if you guys are also excited for the Premier League to return this weekend, make sure to smash that subscribe button as hard as you can. Hit the like button, give it a Mike Tyson 1-2 and tap the notification bell, as I say, so you'll be notified every single time we upload a brilliant piece of content onto the channel. So without further ado, let's delve into what this video is about. So, with the Premier League returning this weekend, I thought it's only right to do a predictions video for this upcoming Premier League season. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. We're going to be discussing everything: who gets top four, who gets Europa League, and who gets the dreaded Europa Conference League place, which Tottenham Hotspur are in this season. But we don't want to talk about that, as I say. So let's move on to this season. We'll also discuss relegation, Carabao Cup, FA Cup, Champions League, all of that good stuff. So let's get straight into it. So, who do I think is going to win the league? This season, for me, it's a two-horse race between Chelsea and Manchester City. Both teams have such good squads, but as much as I hate to admit it, I do think that Chelsea are going to edge it this season. I do think Chelsea will be crowned Premier League champions for the simple fact they, in my opinion, have the best Premier League coach right now at the moment. A man who took them, as I say, took them over when they were 7th and doing nothing, took them to an FA Cup final, got them top 4, and most importantly, won them their first Champions League, I believe, since, 2012. So look, Chelsea, they don't need any big signings this summer. They made their best signing in January in Thomas Tuchel. And look, they are going to sign a brilliant striker. That's all they need. All they needed was a target man. They didn't need to improve any other areas on the pitch, in my opinion. And it does look like they're going to get their main man, Romelu Lukaku, for around 100 million. So look, Chelsea to win the league if they do bring in Lukaku, which it looks very likely to, as I say. I believe Romano may have said, here we go. Don't quote me on that, but look, Chelsea to win the league, in my opinion. And just behind them in second, Manchester City. I definitely believe Manchester City can push on this season. But look, I think it'll be one of those seasons where if there's a Premier League game on the weekend and a Champions League one midweek, they're going to prioritise in the Champions League. They've won many Premier Leagues in the past, as to say. That'd be great to have another one, but their priority is Champions League and getting silverware as a whole, as I say. So look, City in second. I think the longer the season goes on, as I say, towards the end, they'll be picking up the most points because of how big a squad they have overall. So look, City just behind Chelsea in second. Then it comes to third and fourth. This one was a tight one. I've gone with Manchester United in third and Liverpool in fourth, right? Sadly, I don't think Tottenham Hotspur will make it in the top 4. United third. You never know with United. They're a team that could push on this season, but I think they need a bit more of an identity, in my opinion. They've made some brilliant signings, but they've missed out on, signing a player in the position that they most need, which is a defensive midfielder. You can bring in a centre-half. That's great. That was one of their priorities. You can bring in Sancho, and Sancho's class, right? He's one of the best players in the world, in my opinion, right? But what you need to be looking at is your main priority. When you came into this window, you said, right, we probably need a centre-half, but we really need a defensive midfielder. McTominay and Fred aren't going to win Manchester United league titles with Pogba and his contract situation. We don't know what's going on that, and him potentially leaving, as I say. So look, United, they definitely could push on and potentially win the league, or get either Chelsea or City out of that first and second place. But I think they will finish third this season. To round off top 4, Liverpool. I think Liverpool... Now, people are saying, no, Liverpool won't get top 4. I think if you say Liverpool won't get top 4 this season, then I think you need to wake up and smell the coffee. Last season, they got top 4 without their main man, without their best defender, without the best defender in the Premier League, right? Van Dijk is back. Gomez is back next to him, as I say. They had to get top 4 last season and accomplish so much for a team without two of their best players, as I say, and, you know, players such as Mohamed Salah. You know, Salah tested positive for COVID. They had no Van Dijk, no Gomez at times, as I say. Last season was not looking good for Liverpool until the end, when they managed to claw it back, as I say. So look, Liverpool with their best defender back, I think they'll get top four quite comfortably, in all honesty. Then coming in at 5th, I'd have to go with Leicester. It's definitely between Leicester and Spurs, but I think Leicester have got a quality squad, the FA Cup winners. They just beat Manchester City in the Community Shield, as I say. Worked really, really hard for that victory. It meant so much to them, as I say. So Leicester, I think that, you know, that Community Shield win will give them such a boost heading into the Premier League season. So I do think they'll get the Europa League place there. And then in 6th, as I say, I think Tottenham Hotspur. I think my club, Spurs, while you're all watching this video, to see where I think Spurs will finish. Now, I could be positive and say top 4, but I do think we'll get one better than last season and finish 6th. Now, I do think we may win a piece of silverware, whether that be the FA Cup or something else. I think the Carabao Cup is Pep's Cup. But look, I do think we can achieve stuff this season. I don't think the Premier League is something we can really get too much out of. I think top 4 is pretty secure. Now, no matter how good we are this season, I don't see any of those top 4 teams dropping out. So look, good old Spurs, as I say, I think we'll finish 6th. Now, if you would have asked me where I think we'll finish about a month ago, I would have been honest and said 10th or 11th, right? I would have said 10th or 11th. We don't have a manager in place. We're all over the shop. Players wanting to leave. We were an absolute mess. But you have to look at it from a standpoint as, over the past few weeks, we have made many, many improvements at the club. Now, look, I'm not going to paper over the cracks. I'm not going to sit here and act like everything's fine at Tottenham Hotspur, as I say. And this season, we couldn't finish 10th, 11th, or even 12th, as I say. We couldn't finish mid-table. But look, you have to look at it from a standpoint as a month ago, we didn't have a manager, as I say. Steve Hitchen was working on transfers. We weren't showing any ambition, as I say, or passion. We just looked an absolute shambles. If you would have asked me a month ago, my prediction for Spurs is finish, I would have said to you 15th or 16th, narrowly avoiding relegation. And that's me being 100% honest, right? And yes, there are still issues. Obviously, you know, the issue with Harry Kane, that's a major one. Does he stay, does he not? And that will definitely affect where we finish this season. But you have to look at it from a standpoint as the improvements we made, in my opinion, have really come to affect the club. And hence the fact we've had a really, really good pre-season, in my opinion, right? Apart from the Leyton Orient game, I think in pre-season we've done really, really well. And, you know, people who aren't Spurs fans, who haven't seen pre-season, who haven't seen, you know, some of the players we've been bringing in or some of the people, or just the overall way we've tried to improve the club. Maybe saying, oh, you know, Spurs, they'll finish 12th or 11th or something like that, as I say. Because look, we've brought in one of the most experienced and best sporting directors in the world in Fabio Paratici, right? Brilliant move, that. We've brought in a good manager, a good enough manager, in my opinion. Now, I understand a lot of fans aren't too fond of Nuno. I can understand that, but in my opinion, he took Wolves up from the Championship and made him a Europa League club, as I say. Most seasons he was there. He's done a really, really good job. And what does Spurs need? A rebuild. What did he do with Wolves? A rebuild. So look, Nuno, in my opinion, can do a good job. We've, you know, brought in some new young players, the likes of Brian Gill into Tottenham, as I say, compared to Chiesa. Romero, arguably one of the best defenders in the world right now. So look, I'm much, much more excited for this season, as I say, than I was about a month ago. But still, Tottenham Hotspur finishing 6th, right? My club, and most of you watching this, your club, Tottenham Hotspur 6th, right? That takes us on to 7th, right? Who gets the Europa League conference place? In my opinion, it won't be Arsenal. It'll be Aston Villa. Now, I understand their main man is gone, right? No Jack Grealish at Villa. But the way they've used their money is what every club should be looking at. And, you know, take a look at the way Aston Villa have used their money. It's like, that is how you use the money you make off a top-tier player to improve your team, right? Jack Grealish left Villa when they were looking to push on to be a European team, as I say. Jack Grealish has left. Obviously, you know, one of my good mates is a Villa fan. He's absolutely gutted. But what he said to me, Robbie, what I will say is, the moves that we've made this summer, I think, will be the equivalent to having Jack Grealish in your squad. And he's spot on. They've brought in As I say, Leon Bailey, who's an incredible young winger, got so much pace, really, really talented. They've acquired Danny Ings, in my opinion, who's a real good goal scorer and someone we wanted to bring in from Southampton. Top tier player. He wants European football. He'll probably get it, as I say, if my predictions are right this season. So look, brought in those two players, as I say, Axel Twanzebe also at Villa. They're bringing in some fantastic players. Buendia as well. So look, Aston Villa, in my opinion, come 7th and get you know the Europa Conference League place this season, right? So those are all the European places, right? Now, as I say, I gave, quite a big explanation for each of those, especially Spurs, because obviously it's a Tottenham Hotspur channel. Now we'll go from 8th to 20th, right? So, as I say, we'll sort of zip through 8th until 17th, as I say, and then discuss why I think the 3 teams that I predict are going down and why I think they will get relegated. So, look, 8th in my opinion, still not Arsenal. I know you Spurs fans watching this are loving it, Arsenal getting worse and worse and worse. But it is me being honest, and I'll get to that in a second. But 8th, in my opinion, it's not Arsenal. I'm going to have to go with Leeds. I think Leeds will get 8th place. Leeds are a team, when I take a look at other people's Premier League predictions, that aren't getting mentioned enough, that are just getting put in mid-table. Look at the run they had at the end of last season. An absolutely brilliant run, as I say. I think they had 10 games unbeaten or something, beating the likes of City, as I say, 2-1, beating Spurs 3-1. They were beating top teams, getting points against the likes of Manchester City and Chelsea, right? Leeds had an absolutely fantastic first season back in the Premier League, and I think they'll make a massive impact this season. Yes, they haven't signed that many players, but let's take a look at their squad and see what positions really do need improving. Maybe a goalkeeper, a creative midfielder, because Harrison's going back to City, as I say. I don't see many places that need improving in Leeds. I think they've got a good goal scorer in Patrick Bamford. They've got some very, very talented player. Leeds in 8th, as I say. Sorry, I couldn't help myself but doing that, as I say. Leeds United coming in 8th place. So I do predict Leeds, as I say, in 8th this season. And finally, getting to the Gunner Mugs, in 9th place, we have Arsenal. We have Arsenal, right? Now, the reason I've put Arsenal in 9th place, it's not because of Spurs bias. Maybe it is a little bit of that without me realising it. But it's honestly not because I'm a Spurs fan and I just want to go, yeah, Arsenal finishing lower than us. Arsenal not getting any European football, finishing mid-table. They're a mid-table club. As funny as that sounds to me as a Spurs fan, it's the truth. It really is the truth. The way that Arsenal have descended since they arrived at the Emirates, as I say, the job that the Cronkies have done is diabolical. It's absolutely diabolical. It's pathetic. They've almost made Arsenal worse. When they took over Arsenal, they were, a Champions League club, getting to semi-finals of the Champions League, invincible seasons, as I say, Premier League titles, winning FA Cups left, right and centre. Now you look at Arsenal and you just say, mid-table, maybe a trophy every few years. That's the way it's turned out to Arsenal. They're a club that is rotten to their core. They've got awful owners who don't want to invest in the club, as I say, and when they do invest, they spend too much on a player that isn't worth it, in my opinion. And they're improving their defence, where they were, they had the 3rd best defence last season in the Premier League and one of the worst attacks, as I say. Why aren't they bringing in a creative midfielder? They know their midfield doesn't have enough creativeness. You look at our game against Arsenal yesterday, as good as it was a piece of piss. It was absolutely easy. I was expecting a bit more of a challenge. Yes, they had a lot of the ball, but they didn't have that creativity in midfield to play that pass to someone such as Aubameyang or Lacazette. Arsenal fans, you see them having a go at Aubameyang, but it's not his fault that he's not getting service. If you could, give Aubameyang, or on the right day, as I say, twice on Sundays normally, if you give him a good chance, he will bury it. He'll put it, into the back of the onion bag, but he's not getting those chances. And that is why I think Arsenal will come 9th. They don't have the players. 10th, West Ham. West Ham fans might not be too happy with that. I couldn't really care less. You're on a Spurs channel. But look, West Ham 10th, in my opinion. Yes, I don't think they'll have as good as a season as they did last season. But look, I think they'll take 10th in all honesty. If they can make it far in the Europa League, obviously having a brilliant finish last season, coming in at 6th for a club like West Ham, that was phenomenal. I think David Moyes has done a great job, but I don't think they're making any signings, and other clubs who are bringing in players are just etching further and further away from West Ham. So it will be so hard for them to catch other clubs, especially without Jesse Lingard. You see, last season they were good, as I say, for the first half of the season. For the second half of the season, from January to May, as I say, they were arguably the best team in the Premier League form-wise, with Jesse Lingard, who was by far their main man. Absolutely incredible. Yes, they've got the likes of Rice and Souček, but is that going to be enough to get them European football? No. West Ham in 10th, in my opinion. Then 11th, gone with Southampton. I don't think they'll get a low finish. I don't think they'll particularly get a high finish. Southampton, they're just one of those teams that just gets mid-table every season. They don't really have to fight for relegation. They don't really fight for any European football. It must be a bit boring being a Southampton fan, because all that everyone remembers you for, as I say, every season is your 9-0 loss to Manchester United, or the season before your 9-0 loss to Leicester City. So look, comment down below, who do you think Southampton are going to lose 9-0 to this season? But look, Southampton 11th, they could finish lower, quite comfortable. 12th, I'm going to go with Wolves. A lot of people are saying Wolves could get relegated. I think that's a bit harsh with the players they got. You got to remember Jimenez is going to be back this season, who's their star man, as I say. They got a new coach in Bruno Lage. Don't know how we'll get on, but I'll go with Wolves in 12th. Then number 13, Sean Dyche. I don't know why my voice went like that there. But look, number 13th, as I say, bloody Burnley, as Goldbridge would say. I am going to go with Burnley. I don't think they'll get relegated. They're always that team that, when you come into the season, they look like they're going to face a relegation battle, but they always manage to get away from it. They always edge away from the relegation battle because they're so used, as I say, every season to not getting relegated. So look, I think Burnley will stay in the league. I do think they will stay in the league. They're the equivalent of what Stoke used to be to the Premier. Look, yes, they're not entertaining at all, but they have got one of the funniest managers. I quite like Burnley. I think Sean Dyche is a bloody legend. Burnley in 13th. 14th, quite low for this team, but I'm going to go with Everton. I don't see anything in Everton. They've brought in Rafa Benitez, who's a very accomplished coach. But I simply don't think they're good enough. The same could be said for Mourinho at Spurs. There was so much expectations, and if anything, he did worse. I don't think Everton can achieve much this season, especially with the fact they're not making any real moves in the transfer window, as I say. They're just letting players go. Their only real signing is Damari Gray, the former Leicester man. So look, Everton in 14th. Don't see him pushing for European football at all. Don't see him getting relegated, as I say, but I don't think Everton fans will be happy with my prediction for their season. So let's put the Toffees in 14th. Right. Moving on to 15th, as I say, I've gone with Brighton, and we must not forget Anto Albion. So, as I say, I've gone with Brighton in 15th. Without Ben White, do I think they'll struggle a bit? No, as I say, Brighton, Burnley, these sorts of teams, Newcastle, they're used to the relegation battle, and they always find a way to get out of it. I think Graham Potter's actually a really, really good manager. I really do rate him, if I'm being honest, as I say. I think he's a great manager. I think they've got good enough players in every sense of the word, in the likes of Basuma, Malpe, as I say. Ty wouldn't like that. But look, I do think they have good players, and I do think they can get a higher finish this season than they did last season. They've got a beautiful kit, as I say. I really do like their kit. So look, Brighton in 15th, as I say. Speaking of good kits, in my opinion, Crystal Palace in 16th, who have the best kit, arguably, this season. But it's not about kits. We're not talking about kits. We're talking about the upcoming Premier League season. And look, I think they're far off European football, Crystal Palace. And I think they'll just about narrowly avoid relegation. Now, I think the appointment of Vieira was not good enough. I do not rate him as a manager, as I say. And that's not even because he played for Arsenal. It's the fact that he made a Nice team that was so good, as I say, and had so much money to spend, brought in the likes of Dolberg and so many other class players. If anything, he made them worse. As I say, but Galtier's gone to that team now. So look, Also failed in New York with the likes of Pirlo and Lampard. He's not a good enough manager, as I say, so I do not see Palace getting a high finish. That's why I will put them in 16th, just about avoiding relegation. And at 17th, as I say, once again, just like last season, narrowly avoiding relegation, it's Newcastle. Not much else to say. Similar to Burnley in the way that I think they'll just about avoid relegation. I do think they have a couple good players in the likes of St. Maximin, as I say. Joe Linton, who I think is really, really talented. And even Joe Willock now, who they brought off Arsenal. So look, Newcastle in 17th. And as I say, that brings us down to our last three. You already know because of the way we ordered the rest of them. The three teams that come up, in my opinion, will be the three teams that go down. Brentford, Norwich, Watford. I don't think any of those three teams have enough, as I say, in the tank to stay up and get more than 30 points. But look, that is my list. Those are my predictions for the Premier League. This was a long old video to make, but I've thoroughly enjoyed it. If you guys did stay to the end, thank you very much. Make sure to smash that subscribe button and hit that like button. Thank you for watching the video. And as always, come on, you Spurs.